Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our second take of week 5 of AML here. As now this week we're looking at Pentaflex Premier versus TE Solace. I'm Boss Kitty, happy to be here. How you doing today, Ozzy?
I'm doing well. Unfortunate we didn't have a stream last week. In fact, all of my days have been kind of messed up because we didn't stream last week due to issues. So I was like, man. About like an hour and a half ago, it's like, oh, I have to cast today. So here we are. Hopefully it should be a banger matchup today, though. I won't lie. I think we have some really close teams today, especially in terms of standing.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams are 1-3 in terms of their match score right now. So closer to the bottom of the standings, but it's only been, 4 weeks of games. So there's still a lot of room to move up and down, depending on if you win by how much, and we'll have to see how close this series is today. Luck and past record says that we will be going to 3 games. So we'll see if that happens. But I know you like to look at champion stats. Why don't you give us a check-in on our good old friend Ambessa for this week?
Well, she's still as high as ever, 70% presence. So, this champion is kind of taking over. She's also, when she does go through, she is banned in just under 50% of games, right? So basically every other game she's getting banned, but when she gets through, she's winning 67% of the time. So maybe we need to hike up that ban rate a little bit more because it's seeming like AML teams are really, really, really struggling against this team.
Yeah,
I guess it's champ, brother.
I mean, yeah, she's really strong right now. It's kind of hard to beat her if she gets online. So ban rate makes sense. Maybe it'll get even higher. Old school Cassidon, 98% ban rate, whatever.
Yeah, crazy. That shit crazy. I don't know if we'll ever get to that point, but we'll introduce your teams here today. Pentaflex Premier, as you can see, they're 1-3, as we mentioned. Bruiser in the top lane, Mui in the jungle, Triton. I know it says no turret, but it's Triton in the mid lane. VZ in the bot lane. Sky in the support role, and some subs here. Speaking of most notably, going to be Toy subbing in today, as he was in the lobby. So keep your eyes out for him. I think for Pentaflex, I'm gonna be looking at what Bruiser can get done here in the top lane.
Definitely. I mean, I'm not as familiar with these players, but with a sub, it can always be a little bit rough. If you don't have that much experience playing with the team. But we'll see how Toy does against TE Solace here. Also 1-3. They got Ryan in the top lane, Dagu in the jungle, Indigo in the mid lane, Water in the bot lane, and Oral in support. So this team is also pretty unfamiliar to me, but like we said, should be a pretty good matchup here. I was looking at the OP.GGs earlier, and they do seem to play some interesting picks. So we'll have to see what they end up going with in draft.
Yeah, we'll see what they tend to do. Again, some champion stats, right? Like the Bessa, pretty high prio. Varus still kind of maintaining his priority after getting banned or after getting nerfed, so still kind of there. Orianna is kind of the most presenced mid laner still. It's not like she's bad, but or has gotten touched, mind you. I will just put that out there. So should be okay to keep this going in terms of picking the same champs. Will be the bans away. Will be the Azir, who, funnily enough, got nerfed on this patch that we're on right now, but it's getting buffed immediately in the next patch. Hey! What the heck? There it is! What the heck? We keep it going strong in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if the win rate holds up, because, statistics say that Penta's winning this game. They locked the Ambessa, most OP champ in the AML league.
In AML, apparently, yeah. Just the fact that she has such a high presence and she's picked 20.5% of games is really scary to play against. But there's the second highest priority champion coming through in the Varus. So seeming like we might just go down the list will be the Nico, who is still in a really good support position, Like, she's not gotten touched in a while. She's kind of just chilling. Great engage, great pickability, but Ezreal Karma might make that a little bit more difficult to, get that pick comp going.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the response. Ezreal's pretty hard to catch with an eco engage. Karma has those big mantra shields later in the game that can soak up a lot of that burst damage. As far as laning goes, most of the time when you're playing against an eco support, you kind of have to outrange her. You have to be able to sustain the poke from in lane, try to outrange her, try to stop those big engages. So hopefully we can see Penta do a little bit of that against the Nico, as it looks like it will be the Camille picked up on R3 here.
Well, so something I think is a bit forgotten about Camille is her ability to be an anti-mobility champ, right? You have the Hextech ultimatum, you get on top of an Ezreal, doesn't matter if he arcanes just away, he's still stuck in there, in the cage with you. Also pretty good on the Mbessa, right? She can't really ult out of the ult either, so some potential things coming here from the Camille. Also, we did see on play Camille's support, I think it was on, who got first blooded but then completely ran through the map there, but at first stand. That won't be the support this go around. I'm pretty confident Nico will be going support, but because of her E changes, you can see her in the jungle, so some flexibility here still, in my opinion, from TE that, might need to be respected here from blue side.
I definitely say so. I mean, I do like flex picks personally, and we know that BLG draft you're talking about had many of those, as it will be the Ahri blind now from TE here. Always a good, solid, staple mid laner, but the response will quickly be the Jax and the Solace. At Solace, obviously being able to hijack that Spirit Rush can get a lot of value in those team fights later on. And talking about a Jax blind in the jungle, it looks like here. Now they should have the opportunity to counterpick whatever Solace pleases here on R5.
Hey, to be fair, this could also be Jax top. They could be trying.
That's true.
They might try to force the Jax to go into the Camille no matter what. So say this is, I mean, honestly, Vi doesn't really care about Jax all that much. Also, Jax doesn't have a bad time in the Vi, so we'll see what happens. I think the Mbessa into the jungle might actually alleviate, and you still put the Jax into the Camille, which is a positive matchup for your Jax. We will see what happens. Of course, depends on where the players want to take the champions, of course. But I will say this, we did see Ahri also at first stand from Gen G earlier this morning. And it was Gen G, so what do you have to say other than they won the game? They could have picked Teemo. They could have picked Teemo support and probably won regardless. But yeah, great stuff coming out of Canyon Chovy as a duo earlier today on this. But so tried and true combo, works for a reason. Why not pick it today?
Yeah, I mean, having just such a reliable, simple follow-up engage is really good. And I mean, I really like this comp so far from TE Solace here. Basically, everybody wants to go in, except for the Varus, of course. But, he can apply some shots from range, so that'll be just fine there. But, you have Camille and Vi to dive. Ahri can flank and dive. Nico engage is always good. So they're kind of all on the same page, which I think is really valuable just for team coordination, especially for an amateur team like this, rather than something like a Canyon and a Chovy. But what are you thinking about these drafts overall?
I mean, I think Team Solace have a really good pick comp here. They're kind of lacking on consistent damage unless their Camille can kind of scale. One of Bruiser's best champions is Jax. So we'll see if he can, wow some players today. Some viewers as well on the Jax. So I do think that we need to be mindful here as TE Solace of the Camille Jax matchup. I think, though, on the other side for Pentaflex, right, you need to kind of respect getting picked out. The Solace is actually a pretty good pick target. Yes, he's got survivability, but look at how much upfront burst that you have to deal with from TE Solace. So I think both teams have decent comps. I think if I'm going to pick one, I think, TE Solace has a bit more rounded out comp, and I think it's a bit easier to play, which is kind of where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you there. I think TE's comp is just a little bit more straightforward. I do think that Pentaflex can get a lot done. Say the Jax wins the matchup, say the Mbessa snowballs, gets a kill or two. I could really see things turning in their favor too. But I know I got my first one right last week, or week before last, technically.
You did.
But so now I'm on the board for our Dragon Soul. This week, I'm gonna go with the Cloud Soul. What are you thinking?
Ooh, okay. So I'm gonna say Mountain Soul, but I'll break that down in game, of course. So, that's really funny. I think I'm gonna go with Mountain Soul, but I will talk about that for sure in the draft in the game because it's gonna be a long tidbit, and I don't want to keep this in draft here forever yapping about Mountain Soul. So I'm gonna talk about that. But hopefully everyone in chat is staying zen. As I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Zen Market. Zen Market is your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops in Japan, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items safely into one box and can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check the panel below the stream or click the link in the chat to try them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, you'll get 3,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Also, if you decide to make a purchase on Zen Market, use code Aegis25 to get 25% off your first purchase. Thank you again to Zen Market. And how are you feeling about a break?
Let's do it. All right, here we are on the Rift for game number 1 of this best of 3 series. We got some movement around the map. Ooh, actually, chains connecting and flash blown from the jungler already at the start of the game here. But more importantly, you were telling me about your Mountain Soul choice earlier. What's going on with that?
All right, so if you think about this, and this is not even a hot take, right? I guess it is kind of a hot take, but Mountain Soul is in fact kind of one of the worst souls to take, because the buff from the soul itself is actually very minimal comparatively to something like, we'll use the highest win rate soul, Cloud Soul, right? Right? Because it doesn't give any like passive benefit outside of the shield, which doesn't generate in combat. So you kind of don't get a lot of value from the soul. You get more value out of the base dragon buff itself, right? The armor and MR you gain from it. So that's where the strength of the dragon is. So you can actually kind of just give up the soul without necessarily needing to worry about it as much. Again, it is a soul. You don't necessarily want to give it up, but if you're in a bad wave state or bad state in the game, you shouldn't have to care about it. As in the top lane, it's just a small trade, but nice
stun there from Bruiser.
Yeah, great stuff.
And not too much going on in the early game here. One thing to point out is Indigo actually did take Ignite in this matchup in the mid lane, which most commonly we do see the teleport, or in the case of Rise Tilia, maybe a ghost. But Ignite, spicy. Expecting some fighting. I'm here for it.
I mean, yeah, me as well. Indigo will be able to dodge the E2 from Triton here in the mid lane. Getting a pretty good trade, nice. But as we know, playing Silas early game as Bruiser is really going to get this wave crash.
And trying to push it out as the Camille does not want to let the wave crash. But so far, just some pretty minimal trading across the map here. It is going to be that poke Varus as well. We see the Arcane Comet, which makes a lot of sense, kind of based on what I was talking about after the draft earlier. But I'm not going to say it, actually. I was going to say something, I'm sure you know. But I'll keep those words out of the universe.
Well, nice trade here again from Bruiser, as showing why this matchup is a counter. Of course, Camille taking a bit to kind of scale up herself. Electric proc in the mid lane onto Triton is quite nice, but it's going to be the Camille in a really uncomfortable spot here in the top lane, as out of mana now, utilizing the last bit for the W, but it's going to be forced into a reset here at basically the worst possible time. The Ambessa is wrapping around onto Indigo. This could be a potential first blood.
It could. Indigo still pushing forward, just hit level 5, so no Spirit Rush available. Triton is moving forward. Here's Toy as well, just completely pinned on all sides, and that will be first blood over to Mui on the Ambessa, and that is also one of the win conditions I pointed out. If Ambessa gets ahead, I think it could really do well for Pentaflex.
I mean, stats don't lie, so, the Ambessa having a 67% win rate, kind of for a reason here, and getting started early, definitely going to feel great for her. And actually, it's really unfortunate for Indigo. Tried to walk away and walked right into the support of Pentaflex, which a bit rough, a bit rough. But it happens. Bit of disrespect happening early. Nice trade here, actually, from Ryan. Now after the reset.
Yeah, it is still a little bit rough trying to time against that counter-strike here.
The
trades are pretty back and forth, but Bruiser actually forced out the flash, flashes forward, and gets the solo kill in the top lane. Ryan thought that they had the trading pattern locked, but that passive is just too strong from the Grandmaster of Arms.
Yeah, I mean, Grass proc as well. Perfect timing with the W auto to just really do enough damage, and like I said, this is one of Bruiser's best champions in general. And get the plays into a counter matchup especially one that he can bully out as the Jax really early, because the Camille just takes forever to get going. And also the longsword advantage. Ooh.
Oh, Toy barely doesn't get knocked up there, but does get a lot of burst damage, is chunked out before this Scuttle Crab will be spawning here shortly. Karma does have some health potions, will be able to heal up, but it looks like Penta is taking control of the river for now.
I'm actually shocked that the Vault Breaker didn't connect on Toy. It really looked like it should have, but we'll be the Infernal Soul this go around, so we're still in the running. Indigo still being annoying to Triton here, but starting to even out a little bit.
Yeah, actually Mui will get the crab, will get the level 6, but that goes wide with that public execution, so it does not connect onto Dago. However, the kill will still go over to Triton. That hijacked Spirit Rush is so strong on a skirmisher like Silas.
Yeah, Dago trying to get that Scuttle Crab for the level 6 as well. Just completely disrespecting, because even assuming the Silas isn't able to pick up that kill, you still have to deal with the public execution, which ultimately goes wide there, right? But Ryan kind of now forced to watch Bruiser as he does the wave. Might even get dove here, we'll see.
Maybe a little bit too high HP. Actually, nice timing there from Bruiser, though. Does get the kill, but also goes down. Depends on if there was any amount of shutdown gold there, but, you know, losing minions is still a bad sign there for Ryan as well. So some might call that worth.
I mean, he denies this entire wave because there's no teleport here from Ryan. There was no shutdown gold. So this is really brutal here for our Camille, as going just gets worse for the Camille. 22 CS behind. Wave is now shoving out towards Bruiser, which will put Camille in a pretty bad wave state in general. She does not look like this is literally the perfect scenario for Bruiser. As
Indigo will be rooted up here. Actually, we have Triton fighting the mid lane again, but here is Dagu with the ignite with Ari using using the ultimate. There is so strong. Karma is gets trade kills back, deaths left and right. Really good counter gank there from TE Solace, but it is Mui who comes out on top, gets another kill, and leaves the mid and jungle 2-0 for Pentaflex.
Triton is playing the Silas so well into this Ari. It will do so much damage, you know, whilst there was a skirmish going on. Really well played here from Pentaflex. That TE Solace, you know, I gave them props for their comp because I had good pickability. Like the Silas could have been a liability, but it's not facing Triton at all, as he is 2-0-2 here. Up CS even, which very rare for a Silas in a ranged matchup like this, but it's actually up experience as well, which definitely not where Indigo wants to be right now. Kind of disaster across the map here for TE, as Indigo will finally be able to catch the rest of this wave, as it's kind of being held up by the last few minions in his wave. For me, though, the attention turns to top lane. Like, Ryan is just so far behind. We'll actually trade quite nicely there into the Jax, but he is behind so much already. Looking at like a 1200, actually, sorry, math is hard, 700 gold lead.
Yeah. I mean, it is a pretty rough spot for TE right now in general. One thing to note is the bot lane's been pretty quiet here. Besides Toy's one death in the mid lane, everyone in the bot lane positions have been very inactive, 0-0-0. So Toy getting off some good roams, but it seems like with the even CS as well, that the lane pressure from the double Arcane Comet has not really come to fruition as you might expect either. Ezreal is pretty hard to punish, but still maybe hoping to see a little bit more lane dominance there from the side of Solace. But either way, we have one dragon down, over to Pentaflex now, and we got the next one up in about a minute and 20 seconds here.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think so. The thing is, right? If you want to play weak side bot laner, who do you pick? Right? 9 times out of 10, it's Ezreal. Right? He's so good at doing it. And they haven't been playing around the Ezreal at all, so the Ezreal kind of just chilling. 8 CS ahead here is great for your Ezreal because he's not been punished for being weak-sided the entire game. Bruiser is winning in the top lane without any assistance. Indigo is
getting chunked super low here in the mid lane. Does manage to get out with the Spirit Rush, but close call for sure.
Yeah, I am so shocked actually that Triton didn't get baited to go in there. Worried about the buy, so good choice. Good choice, seeing as Dagu does show up in the mid lane there, but yeah, I think this is a really hard game state to kind of recover from TE Solace because you're looking at this gold lead, right? It's just under 3,000 gold at 11 minutes. Your top laner's counterpicked, right? The Silas didn't fall behind at all early. Your Varus is kind of just doing his own thing, but he's not going to be carrying this game because he's playing Poke Varus. You also have insane terms of engage coming through. Bruiser, nice bait, but decent trade from Ryan there, but be second Drake. Mountain Drake will be the one taken, so I will be incorrect. Actually,
the Pop Blossom only connects onto one here as the cease and desist is used as well, trying to take them down. The dragon will go over to Toy, actually, as both junglers, sorry, not one jungler will go down. Mui taken down there. It is a very nice shutdown there for Solace as the fight continues. Ezreal will pick back up one for Pentaflex here. The camera likes to show top lane for just a second there, but basically all coming up Pentaflex there. They lost their jungler, but they got the dragon, they got the kills. It's looking good.
Karma they used everything, by the way, absolutely everything to kill Mui and just literally couldn't. It just took them way too long. And then not only that, they ended up losing the dragon. So everything they shipped for that dragon gone, as now, we were looking at a 3k gold lead, now we're looking at a 4.5k gold lead. Sorry, 4k gold lead, so 1k gold in the pockets here of Pentaflex as they continue their dominance on the Rift across the board. We see another solo kill going the way towards Bruiser there in the top lane, getting a dive as things are just getting worse here for TE Solace, and I'm not quite sure it's ever slowing down as the experience lead here for Bruiser is 2 levels. So
yeah, definitely a rough spot as they actually might be looking for Dagu in the jungle here. Here's Ryan as well as Mui looks to engage. Could just get over the wall. It is Camille. They're able to, but the root comes through right into the public execution. And that is just another clean kill there for the Pentaflex jungler. And yeah, I can see why Ambessa is so highly picked in AML.
I mean, also something to consider, right? Like, I don't want to be a game 1 Andy. I think water is okay. Water is actually going to, so I don't want to be a game 1 Andy, right? But actually, hold that thought.
Could be a good trap here if they're able to use their pick. Pop Blossom comes out, is not able to catch anyone. That's why you love the mobility of the Ezreal, but the root actually will come down onto the Nico. The burst is too strong. Another one over to VZ on the Ezreal, and top lane is looking pretty grim for TE Solace as well. Just sucks to lose your support like that with nothing in return.
That is so unfortunate. Not even catching the karma with it is downright criminal as well. And TE Solace just... Oh man, literally nothing is going their way when the camera is on. Oh, it's just heartbreak, tragedy of epic proportions here for TE Solace's. Nothing is working.
Chains do connect onto Indigo. That's a pretty big chunk, but now outnumbered here. Triton actually uses the Proto Belt there to get out of the Vault Breaker. Is pretty nice. Wants to keep fighting for now. Lots of skirmish power on the full item for the Solace, but even when you're outnumbering the Solace, it seems very hard to try and get a pick if you're TE Solace and you're this far behind.
I mean, certainly. Look at the CS lead here for Bruiser on the Jax. He is 40 CS ahead. So, he's a little fed right now, I'd say. Also, all the tower plates he's been able to just take passively throughout this game. Again, and as I was going to talk about, I don't want to be a game one Andy, right? But stats could be deceiving, as surely I can get this point through. Thank you. That sure, these teams are like tied up in match score, but you know, with match score, right, it can also be deceiving because right now, as it looks like Pentaflex is completely outclassing DE. It's like not even close. But again, I don't want to be in game one Andy. Still plenty of series to go here because we're not even halfway through this game probably, based on what's happened for us as casters here in AML. So we'll see if TE Solace can have a bounce back in this game and also the series.
Oh, but here's Mui. Actually, Corruption do land as well. That is a huge burst from this Varus, who has been pretty inactive so far this game. But over the wall, Public Execution takes Mui back into the fight. Pop Blossom gets reverted, hijacked, and stolen there. And Triton picks up a double with that stolen ultimate.
Hey, it is so deadly to play against Solace because of so many different reasons. But the primary one is definitely the hijack, being able to steal someone ultimate. As Pop Blossom pays off big time there for him. Double kill coming through for Triton, as will be the Ocean Soul this game, which, you know, I think was your most picked Dragon Soul in general so far, and
yeah,
you get punished for not picking it this game.
Apparently. Indigo trying to keep the wave, maybe look for something in the brush before it hits tower. But not much you can do on the sides right now when you're this far behind. You know, Ahri is pretty good at that for the, you know, to give them some credit. You know, you have the Spirit Rush, you have the Flash right now to get away. So maybe looking for something on sides could be a way to play this game if you're Solace. But is there an angle? How do they do this? What do you think?
I mean, their comp is great at, you know, finding picks, right? Like, especially, yes, the Ezreal is slippery, but you have Hextech Ultimatum, you have Cease and Desist, right? Like, that very well can easily translate into a really quick and easy, like, kill on any of these, like, squishier targets, right? Like, the Ezreal, yes, he's squishy, but if you can connect onto him, he's gonna die. If you can find the Karma, who somehow has managed to evade quite a few of these, pick out attempts, you'll be able to get yourself a nice quick kill. But even then, I don't necessarily know with how much upfront damage they have that they're gonna have enough after they find an initial pick to even win a fight right now, should it come to that. So it would basically have to be a clean pick, and they're gonna need multiple of those before we even are talking about a comeback in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it is just such a rough position here. They are trying to keep the towers standing, but Bruiser pushing an advantage incredibly well on the top side. And this mid lane tier 1 should be going over here pretty soon to the bot duo Pentaflex. And that is just more gold in their pocket. And one thing I wanted to bring up earlier, talking about Toy, who I think has been a pretty big highlight for Pentaflex so far. Need to remind you, this is a sub too, and we don't know how much that they've had Toy play with the main roster before, but definitely a good look if you're looking this dominant with a substitute player on your roster.
I mean, yeah, I certainly agree. And also something that has been interesting so far in this game is, speaking of,
actually, yeah, here's the cease and desist. I wasn't sure if they were going to invest that, but Mui is getting burst down here. That is a lot of ultimates, but to their credit, it is a dead jungler, and there's the pick you were talking about.
Well, they find it. Okay, so I actually was literally about to say this exact thing, is now there's no charm in the bot lane. Ahri is going to be forced to flash away there off camera, but something, I was about to say, it seems so far that TE Solace has been trying to pick out the Ambessa oftentimes this game, which is not necessarily the best target to go on because she's kind of tanky innately, but also, with her build now having the Death Stance, picking her out is much harder. Now, granted, if she's in a 1v4 and, can get CC'd for all eternity by you throwing all ults at her, eventually she will die, so they do find that pick eventually now, but I still think there's easier targets they could be looking at this game, but most notably the Karma, because there's not a great way for Pentaflex to kind of face check currently, that they can maybe find this Karma as they continue to get control in their own jungle here. Maybe they can find the pick on Karma, but so far it hasn't been that way, and been more so attempts on Mui's life. Does finally convert though, so it is some gold back over, but like I said, they're gonna need many of those to even think about a comeback in this game.
Yeah, definitely. This gold lead still is very much not in their favor, but grouping up on the mid lane here, hoping to use that cease and desist once again to get a pick. If they are all grouped up, that is a ton of damage, which could easily kill, I think, anyone on that team, maybe besides Bruiser. I don't know. Just being that many levels ahead is definitely an advantage there. But we got both teams kind of hovering around the mid lane here. We got Ocean Dragon up in 25, likely what they're looking for. The hijack Pop Blossom is here from Triton, but the chains do not connect even with the Rocket Belt, so unable to make that engage for now. As I don't know how you walk in here if you're Solace at this point.
I mean, you don't, and you kind of should just give this up. Like, there is nothing to go. Well, it is desperate, okay? They are already in a desperate point. They're 7k gold down. The top lane matchup is not getting any easier, but Boy plus Triton's positioning here is actually quite good. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Look at the Nico, but here's the stolen Pop Blossom onto 2. Spirit Rush invested, but still caught for now. And this Silas is putting in so much work. Goes golden, and here's Bruiser just to rub salt in the wound. Picks up Indigo on the back half of that fight. And here is that anti-mobility that we were talking about, but in the wrong direction there. Keeping Ryan stuck in the fight against 3 is not a good look, as 3 will go down for Solace there, and the Baron should be Pentaflex's prize for winning that team fight.
I mean, yeah, it's like I said, it's a desperate position here for TE Solace. Is, they just unfortunately aren't able to find anything in the way of goal, of like getting gold this game. Maybe a potential Baron steal though.
Yeah, trying to get position here. Bruiser is doing a pretty good job zoning, and Triton is going to help too. Now has stolen that cease and desist and uses it onto Dagu, forces the flash over the wall, and this Baron should just go over to Pentaflex now. Not an easy way to look for the steal. Dagu wants to try though, just a little bit late, but will just go down as well, as the purple worm will be adorning the shoulders of Pentaflex for the next few minutes.
I mean, they might just have this Baron buff when the game ends. We'll see how quickly they can actually siege here. They're being pretty respectful, buying their items early, taking their resets as soon as getting the Baron. Granted, there's nothing to kind of like tempo death themselves off of right now because there's nothing up. So they can kind of just take their time, play methodically here, don't do anything crazy to give an end towards TE Solace, which would be incredibly heartbreaking to do. You wouldn't want to do that at all after having such a dominant showcase so far, being up 11k gold at 24 minutes. Would not want to give them away back in, as Toy actually sidesteps his own Ezreal skill shot there. W. I do that sometimes too, though. I see skill shot must dodge skill shot, but they're gonna now have a 3-lane setup here. 2-2-1 is what they're opting for, at least at the moment.
Look at that gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal. Absolutely just brutal. Like, their comp just needed to win in mid-game. It's actually
Ooh, Bruiser does so much damage, although the tower is not the Jax's friend in this instance. But, ooh, Public Execution barely misses over the wall. Does get that Spirit Rush out for now as Triton and Ryan are fighting on the top side. This 3-lane split is pretty risky if you're trying to, you have to split up your resources to do so. But so far seems to be working for the side of Pentaflex.
Yeah, they're doing really good on like split numbers right now, and that's also just due in part of how much gold they have over anyone in this game on the side of TE Solace. But to talk a bit more about, the downfall of TE Solace's game is they're playing this like great Viari comp where, you're playing around both the champions.
Ooh, Toy has to flash. They could just try and send it. I mean, I think this is your chance. Yeah, there's the cease and desist onto the Karma, pushes back, and there's a nice use of the Hextech Ultimatum there too. Gets the shutdown onto Toy, just like you were saying. They do get chunked out, so it is just the one pick for now, but a nice send there from Solace.
Well, another, point in case of what I was literally about to talk about. Something that they haven't really utilized from their comp is utilizing their pickability, right? Like they never went bot. They kind of just let the Ezreal chill. The top lane was completely lost, right? Like that was not going to get saved. But you could have maybe gotten your Varus ahead, right? Like maybe you get your or your Ahri ahead off of like roams, but none of that happened, and instead it's just been a completely free game here for Pentaflex scale in.
Does Bruiser know he's outnumbered? I'm not sure, as we'll go into the 1v2, uses that Grandmaster at Arms for the extra resistances, and should just be able to walk away. Not much threat onto this Jax's life at the moment. I will say, they did do a pretty good job, Solace that is, of holding down the fort while that Baron buff was active. But I think it's really, once we get to this Elder Dragon, or once we get one good team fight, this game should be under wraps. As actually, right as I was talking about it, here is a small skirmish. And here's the Pop Blossom, which actually connects onto 2. Mui is able to get out for now. Ryan should go down. Nice flash forward there from Bruiser, as here's the Spirit Rush stolen from Triton. Is able to get over the wall. Gets the Nico, gets the reset, is now godlike on the Silas. Double kill. Can he get more? Triple kill. The chains don't connect, but still moving forward. Abandons the Quadra, but, Triton there to clean up that, and that should be them pushing in for the end of the game.
I mean, it's just a great play from Pentaflex across the entirety of this game. Triton, tried and true member for Pentaflex, I think definitely my MVP vote for sure in this game, but my god, just how brutal is it to watch TE Solace have no in this game whatsoever, as it's a complete decimation from Pentaflex and an insane showcase in game number 1.
Definitely. I mean, we saw a lot of good stuff there in terms of early game plays, mid game rotations. They were one of the first teams that I've seen properly siege with the Baron, not over push, not try to go too far, properly push out 3 lanes and just slowly get an even bigger gold advantage. I would definitely give Triton the MVP of the game for myself there too. Silas, super strong in that match, definitely a game changer there. And what a statement game 1 here in this series.
I mean, like I said, well-deserved, and man, that was insane. I don't know how Pentaflex loses games if they can look like that. Like, that's insane. But, of course, those losses come for a reason, so maybe TE Solace can kind of showcase just how Pentaflex have been able to lose earlier on in the season by having a nice bounce-back game, in my opinion, coming through.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what they're able to do. I'm hoping that they're able to maybe play a little more towards their strengths, maybe find something new. Now they don't have to worry about the Ambessa at least, so that'll be a plus for them. But we'll have to find out on the other side of the break. We'll see you there. All right, we're back here after a very, very dominant game from Pentaflex in game number 1. So they are officially on match point, meaning one more game, they take this one. That is the best of 3 done for these teams. As we get into draft, what do you think of these bans? Or what do you think of first pick? We're moving quick.
I mean, Yunara is still pretty good. Blind pick AD carry for also first pickable. However, again, Pentaflex kind of taking the wind out of my sails here a little bit. The one champion, there's like one champion that she struggled with ever, and it's been Aphelios. And Aphelios Lulu makes it so difficult to kind of first pick Yunara right now. That's why in professional play, like, she's just not really getting first picked as often. Or even blind picked until a bit later into the draft. Like, you'll see her on like R2 or something after some certain comps are coming through to kind of prevent, some of the Aphelios matchups from happening into her. But it is one of the few champions that can actually punish the Yunara. But, immobility is kind of the name here for Pentaflex already on their bot side, that this J4 might be a little bit scary, especially paired with a Bard.
Yeah, I mean, it is very, very good against those immobile targets. Aphelios is only as good as Aphelios is when he's alive. So if you have a Jarvan that can get right on top of him and someone else to follow up that dive, you could just delete him from the game. And Bard, definitely a good pick here, able to kind of match some of that range, some of that push in lane, but also have some versatility, have some engage later on in the mid game. And it will be the Wukong as the response for Pentaflex here into the Jarvan, which definitely reminding me of the jungle meta for basically the last year and a half here.
That's so funny. It's funny you say, last year and a half, when it's been, I say, for literally the one niche AP meta we had with like the Zyras, the Nidalees. It has been this for like 5 years. So can we
pretty much
change something, like in the jungle? Also, I'm the biggest advocate for this. Bring back level 3 junglers. Get me back the Elise. Like, I want to see things like that in the jungle, because it's a style that has fallen so hard in the way of like the min-max optimization, as a lot of people like to say about League, because we are getting to a point where the game is getting optimized down to minions at this point, right? Like, Bruiser going for a dive, killing himself to make sure he get trades back 1-for-1 to prevent an entire wave from the Camille. That's even in M600, that's to the point of optimization that we're down to this, Bring back some of the, more lax optimizations, so people have to think a bit more about getting ganked level 3. But enough about that. Old man yelling at Cloud. We have Aurora being picked up here for Pentaflex, who on the up and up, still looking pretty deadly, and still one-shot your AD carry from a mile away.
Yes, and notably is pretty mobile against the Jarvan. Will have a few ways to escape that Cataclysm when it comes down. So definitely won't be super easily punished in that kind of early mid-game stage. And it will be the Vigar here picked up from Solace, which I think is a pretty good counter there. That cage does do a good job at stopping mobility. So Aurora tries to get on. You can kind of use the event horizon to peel yourself pretty easily here. And we'll see what they want to round out this composition with. Kind of interesting picks so far, and it will have to be a blind pick top lane. So we'll see what they want.
Yeah, they are taking their time with this pick for sure. Kind of been abnormal. Will be the Cassante that they settle upon, though. Now, what did get picked today, although did lose? It was the Vigar. Hong Q picked it out against Gen G, and again, unfortunate it's Gen G he has to play it against, but still, I think Vigar has been kind of one of the more slept-on mid laners in general, or even APCs. You can play him there as well, but nice to see him come out. Nice to see. I feel like I've been seeing him a whole lot more, recently, which is great. I think the champion's in a great spot. You got good scalability. You can become very deadly very quickly, and it kind of just turns out, you kind of surprise people, because you kind of go from doing nothing to just absolutely tearing through backlines in no time. Kind of in like a blink of an eye kind of situation here, but we'll see what happens.
I know these two drafts are pretty stock standard here, probably besides the Vigar. One thing to note too, I was almost hoping we'd get Bruiser Garen here. That was a counter pick we also saw earlier today on the first stand stage. But lots of interesting picks, but it will be the Renekton, which I think is again, the matchup that we've seen 100 million billion times now. But Renekton always good, always able to get the job done. Very good in the mid game team fights. Very good all around champion. And I honestly don't know who I would favor so far, just based on draft. I kind of like some aspects of both teams.
Well, I know who I like, all right? I do think the Vigar Cage gets so much value this game, but I'm going to keep it up with like the Pentaflex momentum from the last game was just too insane, and that I really think TE Solace here, that yes, they have some great points in their comp, right? Like if no one on Pentaflex can deal with Cage very well, and the J4 is going to get a lot of value into the immobile bot lane, I guess there's really, kind of not a lot of help in that department outside of the Lulu to help that Aphelios out all that much, besides some engage disruption from the Wukong. But I think Pentaflex had such a dominant game one that the momentum has to be in their favor, and with a comp that, in my opinion, was much easier than what TE Solace drafted this game, they completely missed the mark in terms of like coordination, playing around the map, playing around their strengths. That I'm not a believer. I'm sorry. I'm not a believer.
That's fair. I mean, in the mid game, we did see some aspects of that team comp. They'd got a couple picks here and there. Unfortunately, it was just...
I had to throw the whole wall. I had to throw the whole wall, a book, maybe a sink, try and get one kill on a sword. But, it did happen. It did happen.
They technically did it. So we'll see what they can do with this team comp. But, both of us are wrong game number one. But every game is a new chance to get our Dragon Soul correct. You can go first this time. What do you think?
Ooh, all right. You know what? I'm gonna stick to my guns. Mountain Soul all the way.
Okay. I'll go Infernal Soul for me. I want to see high damage. I want to see those one-shot primordial bursts.
Yeah, you want to see the Vigar one-shots or the Aphelios Infernum call back to his release date. And what was it, like 2019 release Aphelios with the 200 years with the Infernum pentakills. Man, that champion on release probably generated, well, to be fair, Yunara also generated a lot of pentakills. So did Zeri. Man, a lot of AD carries have this kind of problem on their release recently, where they get released and they kind of are just a pentakill machine. But enough about that. I think we'll take a quick break here before we get into the game. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back.
マーケットは迅速な発送ですぐにお届けします。あ、ボックセット？
大丈夫？
でも直接来てくれたの？これって
漫画みたいだったね。
しかも今衣装着てるし、花でもあれば完璧なのに。
完璧だよ。壊れ物だから自分で届けたかったんだ。
あなたって完璧。ありがとう、全マーケット。
All right, here with the second game of this best of 3 series. We now switch sides, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of a different look here for Solace. But what are you expecting here in the early game?
You know, funnily enough, the early game last game was actually kind of quiet for AML. So
yes.
Maybe that trend will continue, to be honest. Maybe we'll have a bit of a quieter one, just like last game. Also, you have to consider, like, we got a level 6 jungler in the Wukong, right? The Aurora doesn't really have all that much solo kill potential early, save for some very large misplays coming out in the mid lane. Bot lane is actually going to be exhaust here for Oral on the Bard. So we'll be able to kind of exhaust that Aphelios damage coming through. Q will miss.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the exhaust in general on supports. I think heal is obviously great, but exhaust is just an extra CC tool a lot of times, even without the damage reduction or anything else. And I think it can be really a game changer for getting picks, especially on a champion as map mobile as the Bard. As we also have some trading in the top side. Nice knockback there. And I won't say it for this game, but I think I agree with you that maybe it will be a slower early game.
You never want to curse it, especially for your vocal cords, of course. Exhaust coming through. Great trade here in the bot lane from TE Solace. As Wave, bit of an uncomfortable spot here, but Triton going to get a good trade onto Indigo here.
Very nice.
As the Electrocute does proc there, but we are looking at a Vyar, so it's not like this champion is very strong in the early game. In fact, definitely his weakest point is missing some CDR to start spamming out his Qs, missing a whole lot of free AP that he's balanced around. So Bruiser, of course, doing the Renekton thing, getting that early game dominance as is expected, but Ryan not doing too bad. Kind of reminiscent of what happened last game, where both top laners trading pretty well into one another until Ryan. Bruiser!
Oh, I didn't even realize Bruiser had Ignite. That is a very, very close to another tower dive there from Bruiser. Obviously saw that a couple times in game number 1, but Ryan manages to stay alive using the flash. Both summoners invested there from Bruiser, but definitely a dominant top lane showing so far.
If he had the second slice and dice, maybe it would have been enough, but I don't think he was able to use it in time. Gank will be thwarted here thanks to the wave state. So, well, we asked for a quiet early game, and so far, save for some trading and almost a potential solo kill in top lane, it's not too bad, honestly. And you know, it's quite sad. I will, self-report here. I'm not a mid laner, but also, well, Triton. All right, we'll see the Bard. I was about to say Triton might be running himself into death here if he's not careful, but I find CSing with Aurora deceptively difficult. Her auto attacks are so good, but for some reason my brain just refuses to CS well on the champion. I don't know what it is. Even though her auto attacks are really good in terms, of getting CS, but just a little tidbit, really, really funny tidbit is early game is pretty chill so far.
Definitely. Reminds me of like when you practice CSing with LeBlanc with no items, you gotta try to get all the last hits as close as you can. But doing pretty well in the CS department overall. Slight advantage for Water on that bot side, as Ryan actually taking a really good trade here into Bruiser. The healing is good, but on the wrong side of the tower is not where you want to be. Ryan will just choose to disengage for now.
Yeah, Bruiser really opting for the empowered W a lot in this matchup. It's actually kind of atypical. You usually see a lot more empowered E's coming through because of the armor reduction you get from it. So a bit of a different tech coming through from Bruiser. We'll be able to shove his wave in and back though. So in this top lane, will be the Bramble Vest picked up, which means Ryan will trade much better. Granted, if you're LS, you hate the Bramble Vest purchase into the Renekton because you think that the Renekton can just always wait to Q until the healing reduction is off, which is not true, as it turns out in majority of cases. So, but if you are an LS enjoyer, you're definitely in the mindset that the Bramble Vest purchase into Renekton is quite bad.
As a little bit of pushing here on the bot side from VZ and Toy. Definitely had some really good play last game on the Karma, now here on the Lulu. As that Bramble Vest already putting in some good work here for Ryan. That anti-heal is definitely slowing down Bruiser's trade patterns. And we are seeing a lot of top lane here in the early game, where our direct-to-camera is taking us. We see Dagu on the other side of this wall. Not quite yet level 6. I think we'll start to see more action once we get that Cataclysm and that Cyclone unlocked for the junglers. So I'll be looking for a little bit more action there.
Well, Bruiser had a really dominant game last game on the Jax. This time not in a lane that's as easy because Cassante is Cassante. So definitely not having the easiest of times here on the Renekton. Still not a bad time, it's still kind of chilling. It's up quite a bit of CS, which was true last game as well, but it's actually kind of shocking with how well Cassante's been able to do at just how much CS he's down. Because, we're looking at 15 right now, give or take a few. Triton.
Ooh, here's the Bard. Triton might be stuck here. The Q does not connect from Oral there, so it should be able to walk away. Actually, a nice trade on the back foot there too. So Aurora is slippery.
One of her, points as a champion is that, ooh, Bruiser, nice bait here. Man,
Yeah,
Bruiser is kind of just styling on Ryan in terms of mechanics, I think, so far in the series.
As this first dragon will be started up here, will be the mountain, so we're both still in the running there.
No, I'm not. I'm wrong. I stuck the mountain again.
I forgot. Yeah, you doubled down.
I did double down. It's fine. I'm chilling.
Well, I'm praying for Infernal. Not as the next one, but as our soul.
Oh, we'll see. It's Kimtech, so you're good. Actually, it's Ocean?
Still
yeah, it's
good.
Ocean. Yeah, you're good. You're chilling. But again, here in the spot lane, very quiet, which is to be expected. Aurora versus Aphelios. Very chill. Event Horizon will miss. But it's actually a level lead here for the Yunara. Thanks to Toy kind of just sitting around, soaking up some of this experience. Now, granted, Oral is down experience on Toy, so level 6 is coming soon, actually.
Between Worlds will come out. Event Horizon making some space between the two mid laners. But all it results in is a chunk so far for Triton. Now wanting to push forward, does get a lot of damage down. Very nearly a solo kill there in the mid lane. But Indigo keeps the flash and keeps their life for now.
Yeah, I don't know if, well, I was about to getting really scared there. Because if Ryan chose to flash and then ult him over the wall, could have been some silly things happening. Actually, could be some silly things happening now.
These trades are brutal.
U3 is here. Won't use it though, as wow, Bruiser is just doesn't care at all.
Ooh. Toy is up in the top side here, unspotted on the wards for now. But it is these Void Grubs on the map that they seem to want to play for. See if they end up committing to either side of the fight here, but Bruiser pushing towards the tower right now, wants to get this wave in. A little bit of priority will be helpful here.
I don't know if this is good.
Yeah, the Event Horizon is invested. We have Triton on the other side, but the Void Grubs will go down with 2 going over to Solace. So not too bad there.
Yeah, I mean, they're just for Pentaflex, they just don't have their Aurora ult, which is a really big cooldown, right? Like, you kind of wanted that for that fight, and because Triton Didn't have that. Now stuck in a cage.
Yeah, Triton might be in some trouble here. There's the value of the exhaust once again, just keeping the Aurora closer, but not wanting to use the Tempered Fate. And so Triton lives for now.
Well, will be able to live. Does still have Flash available on top of that. Would have gotten ult back as well, but maybe they could have gone a little bit harder, right? One of the biggest things from Bard players is utilizing your ultimate to, you know, find those pick potential plays. Maybe could have gone for one there, but again, opts not to use it. It is pretty long cooldown, so you don't necessarily. It's actually Triton was looking.
Oh, here's the Between Worlds once again. Indigo does have to use the flash this time, but here's Mui with the Cyclone into the first blood, but now is stunned under the tower and will be traded back. Good look there, but good punish from Indigo.
A little bit too far, and maybe some miscommunication, because if Mui is going to go there, I think Triton 100% should just continue following up, but he kind of did his damage and then walked away, and Mui still wins, so maybe there's a world where Mui actually can live there if Triton is putting in damage, but 1-for-1 favors the
Dominus
Vygar.
actually popped here, pulled under the tower though. Bruiser now stuck in the Cataclysm as well, and Ryan picks up the kill. Nice gank there from Dagu right at the end, but Bruiser maybe just a little bit overzealous there in the top side.
It happens. You have such a dominant game one, you know. Maybe feeling yourself a little bit. As Event Horizon is so annoying to play against, by the way, as a champion that just can't deal with it. You're kind of just stuck in there. In fact, it's actually its best use case in this game is not necessarily going for the stun. It's genuinely trapping them inside. Kind of like a mini Cataclysm, which we'll get a lot of value here. Cole almost finished for both of these bot laners, as very similar to last game. Nothing happening in bot lane, which is kind of shocking for us because that's literally where everything happens in the bot lane.
Yeah, usually. We did have some support roams, but that's about the extent of it. It seems like both these AD carries want to just, you know, get your items, play those team fights. We didn't see too much of the team fighting, at least not too many even team fights in game number 1. But maybe we'll see a little bit more about what these AD carries can do here in game number 2. No huge advantage for either side so far. It's very slight gold lead over to Solace currently. But it's a pretty even game. Still pretty quiet, about 13 minutes in.
Yeah, I do worry a little bit here for Bruiser because of that kill, though. As the Cassante just gets tankier, and yes, ooh, Triton actually utilizing the Protobelt tech, which I think we saw from Chovy in the LCK regular split, or in playoffs, I guess, for first stand, I should say, is...
Oh. Indigo is in trouble once again. Here's Mui. Will not go down this time, though. Just takes down Indigo and spares their own life. The Between Worlds was invested there as well, I think, to get that chunk onto Indigo. But nice repeat gank there on the mid lane.
Yeah, we'll also finally see our first game here where one team doesn't pick up every single dragon. In fact, we actually saw the, oh, well, all right, I was about to say potential. Oh, that's just brutal.
Tempered Fate goes wide. Dagu there just a little bit late trying to go for the steal. And dang it, it's the Cloud Soul. If I had doubled down, if only. As these teams still want to look for the fight here, it seems. As we're looking in the top lane, here's the Dominus. Ryan does have the all out, but actually has to flash away the Ignite invested as well. Gets the solo kill on the top side and more action here on the bottom. And now things are coming up Pentaflex once again here in game number 2, as they will pull out to a little bit more significant of a lead here in the second game.
All right, I was making sure Dagu wasn't gonna die, or, you know, VZ doesn't get one shot somehow, but I wish we had the camera of my face when I saw Water die. Well, nice cage here in the mid lane, but Water had flash, so I'm not actually quite certain how he even manages to die there, but does none the least. And great play coming through once again from Pentaflex to get themselves a nice little early game lead. Also, Bruiser finding yet another solo kill in the series, his first of this game. Ignite really actually helping him out here. Teleport from both of these top laners. Now, Ryan does have the top lane quest completed already. Bruiser does not yet, which is why there was that shield on Ryan. Actually, one of the most underrated portions of the top lane quest is that shield in general. When you run TP, it's actually just so brutal to play against. Actually,
Ryan might be baited into the gank here. 3 people. The polymorph does not stop the all out for now, and Ryan will just be able to walk away.
Well, Dominus for all out trade and Cyclone as well. Might be able to turn that into a Herald. Looking like they're going to fairly set up for it. Nice to see Toy, spread his wings a little bit and, continue to roam the map as this Lulu, which is actually very unexpected. Usually you kind of see Lulu less of a roaming champion, especially into something like the Bard, but has basically been on pace with Oral this entire game outside of one of the mid roams so far from Oral, which that's what you want to see out of your support. Not what you want to see from your Bard, though, but that's what you want to see out of your support general.
Yeah, very interesting, because, there's the 2 options. You either match the Bard or you try to punish whenever the Bard leaves. And Toy definitely likes roaming. We saw that on the Karma. So opting to stick with that strategy here in game number 2. I think they know that these bot laners are very inactive, that they're not really going to try and force plays or try to fight with each other, so maybe it is a little bit safer to leave. It's actually Indigo in trouble once again. Does have the flash now, but manages to survive for now, but flash forward from Triton will pick up the kill, and that is another successful kill onto the mid laner of TE Solace.
That was really well played there from Mui, recognizing he doesn't really have any more damage left, so he just kind of stands there and tanks for Triton to get that kill. And it's really good, I really enjoy seeing these kind of moments as Bruiser continues with the micro ability to kind of make Ryan a bit sad. -1 there on the cannon though, so also saw a -1 coming through as well from Triton earlier. Bruiser.
Wants to clear the wave. It's a little bit of healing back, but yeah. It is just these micro trades in the top side, and that's why the camera loves to look up here. They're constantly doing damage to each other. Bruiser does have the level lead, but like you said, that shield is pretty impactful as an advantage for Ryan once we get into these kind of mid-game teleport plays. But next dragon in 40 seconds. I expect we'll see some setup for that here soon.
Yeah, we'll see now. Bruiser kind of getting forced off the wave, but the benefit of Renekton is you're not a mana champion, so you don't need to worry about mana all that much as Ryan kind of running out of mana. So kill threat will eventually cease here. Nice level up will give him back some mana though, thanks to the mana growth. Looking like a reset from both top laners though. 5 seconds to go to this Drake. It will be the Herald popped in mid. Buy them some extra pressure and maybe this mid lane tower.
Yeah, but here's Triton. Watch, has been able to make a lot of stuff happen on the Aurora so far. Here's Mui as well, getting the flash cyclone onto the backline. Water has to flash over the wall. The Tempered Fate will actually stop the flag and drag knockup from Daku. A little bit of anti-synergy there. But here's Ryan, wants to continue the fight. The wild growth onto Triton means that there's no more threat onto their life. And it looks like Bruiser is opting to keep pushing on the top side as Pentaflex will give over the next dragon.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting so much gold out of this, actually. They got the flash burnt off from the Yunara here. I mean, this play is not bad from Pentaflex. It's a gold play, right, for stats. Ryan kind of long chase this down. Might be able to kill Mui here.
Yeah, if you were able to get over the wall. Yeah, Mui is pretty safe now. But very interesting, as we still only have actually under 1,000 gold lead here for Pentaflex. Definitely a close game.
Yeah, if they were able to get that mid-tier 1, I think it's a bit better for Pentaflex, but right now, again, it is still the second Drake that was picked up here for TE Solace. So it's not the end of the world, but you do need to remember they're playing into a Vigar. Time is ticking. Check on his stacks real quick. We're looking at a nice 187 stacks on the Vigar, sitting at just under 400 AP right now with his current items. We'll tick over 400 AP on the Roa level up, I believe. So, yeah, we'll be able to take over there pretty easily as Triton still pressuring out Indigo some, though.
Should get the tower here. That is a good influx of gold for the mid laner. You know, trying to get more items on this Aurora will be crucial. Now, actually, Cyclone coming out.
Oh my goodness.
Takes the magical journey, but definitely not where you want to stay. Here's the Tempered Fate. Will actually catch Mui. Might just be burst here, but I think Water is too scared of the Aphelios. Doesn't want to walk up now with no flash. As more fighting on the top side here. Bruiser still a level up, but Ryan's trade's not looking bad. As it looks like Pentaflex want to try and force down the tower. They know a lot of ultimates have been invested, but that is crazy healing there from VZ, and Water actually managed to take one down, stays alive for now. They didn't kill the tower, and this dive goes horribly wrong for Pentaflex here, as 2 and now 3 of their members will go down as soon as they get onto Triton here. And actually, Bruiser almost dying on the top side there too in the 1v1 means 3 down and total loss there for Pentaflex.
I mean, they try to overpressure the mid lane, but they kind of just forget that Indigo can walk from bot lane. Yes, he loses a little bit, but it's a winning play for TE Solace. And like I said, could the comeback be on? I didn't want to be a game on Andy, and I'm glad I wasn't. Close game here. Vigar, of course, being this ever-present threat. VZ, I think, in my opinion, I don't necessarily think he should have used the Severum ultimate there. I think he should have just fired off blue because you needed the damage there. The healing, you have a Lulu, so I don't necessarily think you needed healing. And it's not like anyone was going on you either. So maybe a bit of a wrong ultimate use here from VZ. Kind of gives a way back in for TE Solace in the series overall. Game is not over. It's very close, much closer than we had last game by miles. By miles. But this mid-tier 1 has been kind of a point of contention.
Ooh. Exhaust invested on a Bruiser there, just trying to make that chunk a little bit less threatening here. And, you know, we are getting to the point where Gen G would have already beat JDG again, so, you know, about 23 and a half minutes here.
Well, yeah. Well, we got green-white right now. Actually, Water forced into the Transcendent, Transcendent state, which not all that great. They did get that off 50 seconds before this dragon, so that won't be up. Actually, well, I don't think it'll be up. I know it's a shorter cooldown, but yeah, I'm gonna confidently say it won't be up unless they kind of delay this Drake.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we do see some recalls coming through from TE Solace here. So we got 30 seconds till the dragon. They're running back out onto the map. We'll see what priority that Pentaflex can get in the meantime. If they're able to get control of these lanes, it could spell a favor for them as we get to these fights soon here. But we got an A-ramp.
Try true. They also don't get this mid-tier 1 again, so... Alright, well, Summoners here for both carries. Transcend oneself will in fact be back. I lied. It'll be back up here in about 2 seconds. There it is. Drake started here. Green-white will melt through this objective. Here comes the engage.
But watch Bruiser. Yeah, here's the Dominus. Tempered Fate onto 2 will just mean Bruiser gets burst, but there's the Between Worlds getting damage onto all 5 there from TES, and that is a huge play from the mid laner of Pentaflex. Indigo will take down 2. Ryan's still fighting, but overall, amazing look there from Pentaflex. right after they were kind of falling short, right after they had that negative play, they pull it right back.
You know what's even scarier? Is that fight goes in the way of Pentaflex, but the Aphelios had no impact whatsoever. Didn't even get the ultimate off. Got basically, you know, Tempered Fate right into just getting comboed by the Vigar. So there was no Aphelios in that fight whatsoever. So when the Aphelios can actually hit, especially with the IE so close, I worry here for T Solace, unless they can keep finding angles to killing this Aphelios while also keeping their backline alive against this Aurora, which is so difficult because of her ultimate, her ability to just travel into your backline for free. It's a massive circle as well, so it's very hard to miss. Just a bit unfortunate overall for TE Solace, as they had a great kind of like mid-game starting to brew up for them. Ultimately, they falter at that dragon, and it's the gold lead back in the hands of Pentaflex.
But still a very small gold lead, about 600 gold here. You know, that is definitely surmountable if they're able to get some kills, get some picks, maybe find a good team fight of their own. And, you know, the one shining light here is Indigo is still stacking. And Indigo got an influx of gold after that double kill in the last team fight. Now building towards that death cap, which will boost all of the AP scaling for our Vigar. As we have our top laners skirmishing in the bot lane, as eyes turn towards Baron Pit.
Yeah, now with this mid-tier 1 gone, Pentaflex can breathe a sigh of relief, because they looked so stressed out about getting that mid-tier 1. Like,
Mooey will get engaged on, but not too much damage here. Cyclone onto 2. There's the Between Worlds for the burst, but it looks like Dagu and Aura will be able to just walk away for now. Water actually will get flash stunned and getting chunked so low, will go down underneath that tier 2 tower, and the ADC for TES is gone now. This will be a rough team fight.
This is another, like, Water is out and he walks back forward into the Renekton, so... Well, purple red here for the Aphelios. Definitely not ideal. Will be, I believe, white, considering it was red-white. See, Bruiser coming to cage.
Contest. Bruiser getting very low. There's the Dominus, and then the... Goes golden onto 2. Mooey is looking forward, but is stunned for now. This fight is very split up. Cataclysm used on the other side, but they're still trying to kill this Cassante. Unable to do much, as VZ finally will take the kill. Triton actually escaping for now. Invests the flash and is able to, but there's the Event Horizon onto 2. Will take down the front line, and somehow they did it with a 4v5 contest on the Baron.
I mean, I have no clue why Pentaflex is pulling the Baron. Your Aphelios guns are horrid. Red, purple is such a bad way. He misses his ultimate as well. And this is easily going to be Baron here. And it's Indigo holding on. It's actually, Triton has something to say about it.
Yeah, Water getting chunked so hard, but actually goes back into the Event Horizon. So will go down, but so will the Aurora. Good kill back, but it costs you 2 lives.
Yeah, I mean, we'll stall out a little bit of their Baron. It's only 3 Baron buffs now, but again, one of the biggest things when you're playing with an Aphelios is you have to respect his gun order. Without good guns, it is so much worse of a champion on your team in terms of like fighting and doing objectives, that you really have to respect it. Here again, red purple is not it. He's literally, all he has to do is burn purple and get to white, and he's in a perfect state to fight. But instead, they greedily try to pull this Baron before he has white, and it's a complete disaster for Pentaflex, as now it's going to be Baron over here for TE Solace, who ultimately probably shouldn't have even had a way to do the Baron at all this game when there were 5 members up for Pentaflex. Alas, mistakes are made and punished here in AML. As Drake spawned up right now. Soul point for either team. Baron will probably give this one over for free. Maybe engage though. Oh, nice stun.
Very nice stun stopping Mui there on the engage. We saw some very good Cyclone engages. The Flash Cyclone earlier that the jungler of Pentaflex was able to find. So just wanting to deter that engage for a little longer. And it is TE Solace with full position on the dragon here. It looks like Pentaflex don't even want the contest.
Yeah, I mean, again, Baron, hard to get priority. Really hard to kind of walk through a Cassante like this. You don't have flash on your Aphelios. Green-white is not bad to fight with, but definitely not the best. More of an objective burning kind of gun order more than team fight, but still not the end of the world. Could have definitely done something with it. BZ needs to be really careful. Does not have flash.
Ooh,
walking into J4.
Wild Growth does use the ultimate, but that is not where you want to be. Between Worlds does get the chunk, but Triton has to go golden to avoid dying here. Toy is now flanking on the Lulu, but Cyclone will actually take down Indigo as the fight starts, but now Wukong is stranded, and it looks like Pentaflex have just been thrown for a loop. That's a double kill over to Ryan, and am I too early to say game number 3?
No, I don't think so. 20 seconds to VZ here. They still have Baron. What is going on with the 80 carries in the series? Like, what mind controls you to just walk in the worst possible ways? Ryan is getting pretty low here. 4 seconds, they're just gonna back off. So, yes, you are too early.
Yeah, maybe still will be the end of the game here soon enough, but Triton looking forward. So much mobility on this Aurora, especially with the Rocket Belt available, but unable to punish on the back half of that play. So it is just kind of looking more disastrous here for Pentaflex after they had that very split up team fight. Aphelios getting picked off before the fight even starts is very tragic.
Tragic is the way to put it. Like, I can't fathom seeing J4 on your screen. You know you don't have flash, and you just still decide to ignore him and walk into him anyways, and he just gets engaged and punished for it. But what a choice, I think, from VZ there. 1,000 AP here for the Vigar. Well, just about. Sitting on like 970, 980, something like that right now. So definitely not bad. Now, again, can we see some of this team fight prowess come through from Pentaflex? Ryan? Oh, they're looking onto water.
Yeah, water does get chunked, has to use the flash. Now it's just Ryan trying to hold down the front line. Bruiser joins the fight with teleport, but it looks like it will just be the chunk and the summoner spell expended from water for now.
I mean, blue-purple, not great. He's going to have to burn. Blue's about to be gone, so he's going to need to burn blue, and purple will burn purple now, so has red. Once he burns through blue, it will be white, so he's going to have good... Oh, Bruiser...
Ooh. We're looking at a Bruiser. Nice flash, but now stuck in the cage here. Dominus already popped. Bruiser, the wild goat, will keep alive for now. Here's the Cyclone. Watch that, but Mui will go down after Triton not there to clean up the backline kills. This is a huge chunk onto most of the members of TE Solace, but again, the Moonlight Vigil will go wide, just losing so much DPS from the side of Pentaflex.
Yeah, like... Oh, look at this teleport behind as well.
Ooh, yeah, Ryan is coming back into the fight here. Is definitely tanky enough to sit on that front line for a while. But I don't know if they have enough health to invest in this play for now. Bruiser will take away that shield and join back up the team, and I think the play is dead for now.
I'm not gonna lie, the Aphelios this game is really disappointing. Like, he really hasn't utilized his ult in any good manner so far in any important fight in this game. He's gonna have green-white now. Baron spawned in 45 seconds from the Cloud Soul that they're going to have to fight here. 4k gold lead. I don't see a world where Pentaflex win this game it's like this Aphelios has been so absent throughout the entirety that unless it changes, they are very easily going to lose this game 20 seconds away from the soul. Now, they might opt to just give up Cloud Soul, which try and go for this Baron. We'll see.
Here's the ARM once again looking for the fight engage. Dogu has the Guardian Angel now too, but it will just be Bruiser burst down before this fight even really gets going. And that should just mean Soul and Baron if they want it here for TES. Although actually we see Pentaflex moving towards that Baron pit. They might try and trade or at least hold the ground over there for now. But either way, the Soul is claimed for Solace.
Well, the objective guns are gone from Aphelios, so they do so much worse, and Tempered Fate will stall them out.
It will stall the time, but can Mui get the smite? Still at 4,000. It looks pretty dire here for Pentaflex. There's Between Worlds, actually stolen by Dagu as well. That is just tragedy once again for Pentaflex. Nice use of the Tempered Fate there from Oral as Toy trying to stay alive as long as possible. But these death timers are long enough. I think I'm confident in saying now this will take us to game number 3.
What? Aphelios pentakill in the base here. Trust. He's got blue.
Oh, for sure.
With no ult, he's doing no damage to the Cassante. Here we go.
Yeah, here's the fight. I imagine it should just go pretty badly for Pentaflex here. There it is. Double kill over to Water, and this will be the end of game number 2, bringing us to a decisive game 3 in this series.
Again, I'm just so confused, right? Like the Aphelios doing 21,000 damage this game. It's just disappointing, you know? Like,
yeah,
it's picked specifically into the Yunara because it's really hard for the Yunara to kind of play into. But the Yunara had a very easy time in lane, right? Like, in fact, I feel like both of these teams have been kind of ignoring bot lane for too much of the series. Like, we saw it last game from TE Solace where they could have very easily, you know, picked out even the Karma to get themselves ahead. You know, we could have also seen this game, right? The Wukong try to punish out this Yunara who has a roaming bard, right? But none of this ever has happened in the series where, you know, again, the Aphelios was definitely not played well, I won't lie, but it's also not like you're trying to get your Aphelios ahead either. You're kind of just chilling and letting the game, like the Yunara, just do whatever she wants. So for me, it's just, I mean, there were so many mistakes this game, I think, in general from Pentaflex. Specifically around like the Aphelios, right? The Renekton counter pick into the Cassante ultimately didn't do anything. He also took Ignite and only got 1 kill with it, right? In fact, his initial attempt, he almost died. So
yeah,
maybe if taking Teleport would have done you better, because at the end of the day, right, Ignite's there to get you ahead early. If it doesn't do that, it significantly falls off, especially if you're getting solo killed yourself by someone with Teleport, because they're just getting that much more ahead of you.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough to say now what we'll see in game number 3. We've seen some of the tendencies for each of these teams. I think we've seen why they both have a win and maybe why they both have a few losses under their belt in the first 4 weeks of AML. One thing I will highlight here is, you know, the Vigar looked pretty good in this game for Indigo. Definitely got punished early on, but really put in some work there in the mid game, getting lots of kills, stacking up nicely. And you love to see it there for the mid laner after kind of a rough start to the game. But is there anything you're expecting in game number 3 now that we've seen a little more of both of these teams?
Well, so far, I think the games have been decided by the mid laners, Triton in game 1, Indigo in game 2. But I think that's really kind of just a sign that people need to wake up, because your mid laners cannot carry you every single game. You don't have Chovy on your team, unfortunately. You don't have the most consistent league player to ever do it. You need to wake up, because Ryan on the Cassante did pretty well, but in the Camille game, it was pretty rough. For Bruiser, it's the opposite. The Jax game was fantastic. The Renekton game was pretty rough. And I think the bot laners in general have kind of just been whatever. You know, they kind of haven't really connected yet. So hopefully we'll see a bit of a comeuppance for everyone and maybe it not be so mid-dominant.
Yeah, I definitely hope so, as we'll have to see what happens in the third and final game, as once again, the stream goes to game number 3. Definitely a close matchup between these two teams. As I'm seeing on screen, we might actually be into the draft already. So right into game number 3. Keep the energy high here. We'll see what the teams have now that they do have fearless bans limiting them as well. We'll have to see what they can do, what they pull out.
Pentaflex opting to stay on red side. Actually, is that true? Because they were banning Yone when? I guess we'll double check on that, but let you know. But I'm pretty sure they were the ones banning Yone Gwen every game. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Regardless, yeah, there it is. All right, cool. W caster knowledge, W caster pattern recognition. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the game. I think Pentaflex again. Man, that Aphelios was just so disappointing. I was expecting some big things, but it just never really came, which is really heartbreaking. Because I think if even if the Aphelios had like participated in like 2 of those fights in a good way, well, there's the Azir who hasn't gotten buffed yet, was nerfed on this patch. So on the patch we're currently on, we'll get buffed tomorrow, Thursday, whatever. He gets buffed literally coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. But right now in his nerf state, so not doing so hot. In fact, at first hand, he's not getting picked nearly as much as you'd expect. But we'll be the opt-in here for Triton, who great game 1, and we'll be the victor coming in. So we might be in the world of another mid lane series, or another mid lane game where whoever is winning the mid lane will win the game.
I mean, I definitely think that could happen here. You know, Azir is a playmaker in a lot of ways, and you know, buffs and nerfs may come, but the Emperor of Shurima is always a playmaker in my mind. So we'll have to see what can happen there. And Victor, kind of similar in my mind to that Vigard, just trying to scale up, be a little bit bulkier, maybe build something like the tier items, like the Rod of Ages, as it will be the Corki locked in for TES as well. And the response on the other side will be Jhin and Aatrox. Interesting.
So with Jhin, okay, every time I see this champ, like in pro play, it just loses, right? But very big caveat. When it is doing okay, it's usually paired with something like an Azir, because the Azir covers off the Jhin because of the loss of DPS, right? Now, assuming, and there's kind of this whole thing, right, with pro players always looking for the shuffle angles when they don't necessarily need to. It's kind of one of the biggest plagues, I think, for pro players on the Azir. So if you're playing Azir, like his intention is to be like this big DPS late game scaling mage, you know, you can kind of make up for some of the weakness of Jhin. And you still have like the back end burst, which is something Azir doesn't necessarily do so well at, right? So it kind of helps each other out here a little bit. Rakan Corki is a little bit annoying here. I would have liked to see the Corki Nami instead, and then you kind of ban off for the Nami. Though I guess you don't necessarily want to play into like something like a Nautilus, or even the Rakan could be pretty annoying. So overall, will be the Poppy ban, which is expected. Call back to on playing Camille. I'm pretty sure they meant to put Poppy support that game, but On said, nah, I got this on the Camille, and he had a pretty good Camille game, I won't lie. He did pretty well, but regardless, Poppy, definitely not at all shocked to see that one coming through. Aatrox still flexible here, can go in the jungle as well. Mm-hmm. We'll see if it ultimately goes there or towards Bruiser, who definitely needs to make up for game number 2 after having such a, well, does he really need to make up for it? His game 1 was really good, so I guess he's on an even playing ground here, right? This game really determines how he's doing in the series. right? You know, have a pretty
Yeah.
mid game 2, have a great game 1, you know, kind of on even ground. Will be the Alistar ban away from TE Solace here, which I think is a good choice. You don't want to have to deal with the Rakan getting knocked out as he's trying to go in, which is right now they're kind of only go button, which immediately alleviated with the Malphite.
Yeah, definitely the go button of all go buttons in my mind. You know, you click that unstoppable onslaught, and that is the start of the fight. And having a dive buddy like a Rakan can be great for that follow-up engage. We'll have to see what they want to round it out with. I think the Malphite here is also very interesting. Technically could be, you know, a jungle top flex too, similar to the Aatrox. So leaving it kind of open for now based on what Pentaflex pick on 4 and 5. It looks like it will be the Nautilus support into the Rakan, which I think is good. You know, that depth charge can always catch the Rakan, try and limit some of that mobility, which is always very nice. Alongside the auto attack route, guaranteed CC on a Rakan. Again, also very nice. And we'll see what they want to round it out with. This will kill that Aatrox flex for TES, and they'll be able to decide what they want to do.
Yeah, we'll see what they opt for. Of course, we'll break your flex here. Sorry, there's a dog here getting dangerously close to my eye, but we'll be the Trundle for the subjugate into the Malphite. So we'll see if, okay, Trundle is kind of in a weird spot because there's so many games where he just kind of looks like a training dummy or like a minion. He's just kind of walking the map aimlessly, can't really do anything. But then there's games where he's really, really, really good. Pillar being such an insanely impactful tool. Subjugate makes him the tankiest person on the Rift. Gotta see which one it's gonna be though this game, because again, kind of a toss-up here. But it will be the Pantheon coming through. Now, I'm not sure if it's gonna be Pantheon jungle, Malphite top. Could be, could very well be. Now, could also be Pantheon top, as we'll see where's going what. But a bit confused here. Pantheon, if this is Pantheon top, I'm really not a fan. I think Pantheon jungle does work quite well, especially with the Rakan, right? Either you can get yourself in range off of a Rakan engage, or you can kind of set up for the Rakan engage yourself. So we'll see where that is going.
Yeah, on the draft site, it looks like they were hovering a Xin Zhao before locking the Pantheon, so I imagine that is a jungle pickup there, unless they were trying to bait and do something weird. But I imagine that will be the Pantheon jungle. It's probably the more optimal play, which is interesting. You know, that means we have kind of a fighter versus tank on the top side, which is, I guess, pretty similar to what we had in the first two games. Maybe besides the first one was fighter v fighter. But I think this will leave the top side definitely in the advantage of Pentaflex here, if you're able to get some of that lane priority. We'll see how they can hold it down. And I think the Pantheon R5 can be pretty impactful if you're able to use that Grand Starfall early, especially catch out, you know, the Jhin and Nautilus maybe on that bot side. I'd really like to see them do more, especially with two engage supports here. I really want to see some action happening on the bot side of the map this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, right, I think it's really, really, really important for teams to kind of lock in around playing around your AD carry. Outside of something like the Ezreal, it's very odd to see weak siding your AD carry so often. Jhin also not necessarily the worst weak sided champ as well, because of his range. Plus, he's kind of there as like utility. He's kind of not there for carrying your game. Is more there for, you know, obviously you want him to do well. You don't want him to fall behind because it's still an AD carry, but you also aren't necessarily putting all of the weight on him in draft, so you can get away with weak siding him in certain cases. This game is a great chance to do so. You have so much damage elsewhere, right? You have the Aatrox, you have the Azir, so your Jhin can kind of just take a step back, play max range W with a deadly flourish, but, you know, team fight breaks out, go into ultimate from your base, and never get touched by the enemy team, which is right where his comfort zone is, basically, in team fights. And then maybe clean up some of those kills with some force shots as you meander your way slowly to the team fight. So So from your old position, but still waiting to see where both the Trundle, Aatrox, Malphite, Pantheon are going. I imagine this will be Trundle Jungle because that's kind of obvious, but I'm curious to see where the Malphite is going. So we'll see what happens overall.
Yeah, but in the meantime, you know, I almost had it if I doubled down in game number 2. But we had to do our gambling once again. You know, and this time, just to spite my game 2 hiccup there, I'm gonna double down on Infernal. We're gonna hope for more damage. I know this looks like a Mountain Soul angle to me, to be honest. But I'm going Infernal.
No, it's not. It's not. Except it is. I'm tripling down. Sunk cost fallacy, baby. Sunk cost fallacy is something I live by every day. I'm going with Mountain Soul. Why not? But
eventually, it's got to be Mountain Soul.
Yeah, true. Eventually, I will eventually get it. So, good strategy, actually. I think just to always bet on one Drake a week, and eventually I'll get it right. But I think we'll take ourselves a nice break before we get into the game, seeing as we didn't get one in between the games, game and draft. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Game 3 banger coming up, I'm sure.
All right, the curse of Game 3 has struck us once again. As both these teams have taken a win, it all comes down to this in this best of 3 series. Looks like it will be Ryan piloting the Malphite in the top lane, as we have Dagu on the Pantheon in the jungle. Definitely makes more sense in my mind. But now, one final time, what are you expecting in this early game?
Well, there can be some early game shenanigans which have been ever missing from this AML match. So we could see some early game stuff coming in from Dagu on the Pantheon. So we'll see if that does come to fruition. Also, underrated thing about Trundle is you can also kind of get going early, right? Like there's some tech with Trundle with ganks where you walk up, you flash Chomp to get the slow, which forces the enemy to flash, and then when they flash, you pillar their flash, and then they're slowed that entire time, and you can turn out quite a few surprise kills that way. So definitely not necessarily that bad at early ganks themselves. Slows are also kind of impactful CC, but can't imagine this Aatrox is going to have a fun time against the Malphite later, because the Malphite simply will not care. He will just say you will lose and dance on the Aatrox.
Pretty much, as Ryan actually getting a lot of good sidesteps here in the early game. Opts into the Arcane Comet, so the kind of hands-off, seismic shard playstyle here. Just throw the rock and walk away. But it does work very well in the early game until you build up that armor, until you can just not care and pretty much ignore the Aatrox. But interesting team comps here. We didn't talk too much about that in the champion select, but what are you expecting in terms of team fighting?
Well, I think team fight wise, right, both teams have a decent time, although I worry a little bit for Pentaflex because they don't have like the best go button option, their best option being the Nautilus, and then everything else is kind of just praying to God you live the snap engage of Malphite Rakan. You're like holding on to hopes and prayers for that.
Yeah.
Bruiser in this top lane, getting a bit of that early lane dominance, which we have, to be honest, seen all games, getting that early game shove. It's just whether or not he's able to convert. Will be the teleport, though, here for him.
Yeah.
So I do think team fights are going to be pretty easy here for TE Solace, but I said that in the Vi game as well, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, we get to see what they can do with it. I mean, we saw some, synergy coming back from TE Solace after losing in game 1. They definitely did some good work in the second game of this series, as the Scuttle Crabs are just traded, one for each of our junglers. And I was hoping to see some early game shenanigans, but, the night is young. Level 6s are pretty big power spikes once again. You have the Grand Starfall, you have the Unstoppable Force, you have things like the Subjugate and the World Ender, which can all be used pretty well for some action. But again, we kind of see a lot of movement towards the top side and not a whole lot towards our AD carries. So hopefully that changes here soon.
Yeah, also kind of hard for Jhin to really poke out Corki, because Corki with Valkyrie, right? Jhin also has to expend a lot more mana getting CS. Mui.
The stun actually does come out onto Mui. Gets chunked here, but won't go down for now. Trying to steal the Raptors, but it doesn't exactly go their way.
I mean, yeah, never in a million years is that going to go your way against Pantheon, but doesn't die for it. Only loses a bit of time, which is a bit unfortunate. To talk about some interesting stats here, we'll start off with a little bit of a funnier one. The amount of people who have flash on their D key is higher than the amount of people who have flash on their F key. It's actually a 12% difference. So 56% of players have flash on D, which is pretty interesting. So that's the haha funny. Okay, who cares? But well, we'll hold that. Just a small hook. All right. And actually, what I wanted to really kind of dive into. Well, okay, I'll hold that thought.
Tries to engage here, but Oral is getting very chunked. Dagu is here. Could use the stun, just pumping damage into Toy for now. But here's Mui for the counter gank, and Dagu is kind of in a bad spot here. Hook lands, and that's first blood over to Mui. Is actually flash forward, wants another, but is unable to find it for now. Amazing hook there from the Nautilus.
Yeah, great hook. Sets them up for first blood. Really well played. And hey, I guess they're listening to the stream, those rats. Doing exactly what we said. We wanted to see both junglers ganking bot lane early. Does work out in Pentaflex's favor initially. Back coming through in this bush. Oh, actually...
Ooh. Here's Nautilus once again, does force out the flash. The minion saves Indigo from being hooked there. Actually stun onto Maui now. Mui almost dies there, but manages to stay alive. It's actually Rollbender flash under the tower. Knew he was dead after he saw Dagu on the other side. That is both flashes invested, but Bruiser tries to go for the solo kill and is not able to do so, as actually we have the Emperor's Divide into the hook here onto Indigo, but the heal will keep Indigo alive for now. So stalemate here in the mid lane, but as soon as we were saying it was quiet, it sparks to life all over the map.
Oh no.
And once again, Grand Starfall. Dagu forces out the flash. No flash themselves. Nice sidestep. Walking away. Right? Surely. We have the flash grand entrance there. Here's the movement. Does get the sidestep as Triton will live. And that is a crazy sequence that we just witnessed.
What is happening? How did the Victor not die there? The heal from, Oral throwing the Q is... I have no clue how it healed that much, but man, that was kind of crazy. Keeps Indigo alive. They kind of go a little too deep, but ultimately no one dies. So Brewster in the top lane, unfortunately, kind of overcooks, trying to predict the flash on his Q3 to get that solo kill. Was dead anyways, but still could have maybe turned that 1-for-1 if a bit more patient. But again, saw the vision. All right, not a bad idea. Just unfortunately didn't work out. Would have been really cool if it had, though.
Definitely.
Respect. We go for the content play sometimes, you know.
You're on stream. You got to make the most of it.
It's true. It's true. Hook will miss onto Oral, but 57% win rate for blue side teams. So far, blue side has won both games in this series. We'll see if that trend continues in this one.
Yeah, first dragon will be claimed here, and I'm already out of the running. As the first one was an ocean, but next one's infernal. Your mountain soul is still up for grabs. See if it happens. The triple down. Eventually, you got to be right.
Just you wait. Just you wait. I will keep all inning the mountain until it happens. Just because I thought the talking point was interesting, to be honest. Like, I think it's just such a weird thing to think about, because you're like, man, Mountain Soul is so oppressive. But in reality, like, you look at the buff and it's kind of just like, you don't really care about it. So it's just the base stats, right? If you're like three Mountain Drakes in, you obviously want the fourth for the free stats that you get, because it's such a massive increase. But the soul itself, not necessarily the best.
Ryan is getting traded on pretty heavily here. Just face checked the brush. Not sure what the goal was there, but probably knew Bruiser was there. But here's Dagu walking into the bush, trying for some sort of a lane gank here. As Ryan moving forward. This will be a slow play if it happens, because we also have, oh, never mind, as actually the Unstoppable Force invested. Here's the World Ender, as Dagu will pick up the kill. They just pull the trigger before Toy and Mui can even get there, but actually here's the grand entrance onto Toy, now stuck away from the rest of the team. This Nautilus should go down, if nothing else,
the body
rather
blocks.
slowly.
The body blocks.
Flash, but there's the knockup and the stun, and Indigo will pick up that one. Very nice gold influx there on the Victor.
Well, Victor gets those stacks a little bit earlier as well, so that's going to be nice for his upgrades. But man, one of the most underutilized mechanics in League is body blocks, and Ryan actually showcasing it off perfectly there, not allowing the Nautilus to path at all. Very uncomfortable position, and not even missing out on the tower plates. So yes, you miss a bit of the CS, but you're up CS as Indigo anyways. You get your CS lead, plus you get a kill, which, you know, issue even more gold.
Ooh.
Boy,
Hex Slash.
Won't find anything though.
Yeah, just clearing some vision out of the river now. We got a little bit of action towards bot side, but it looks like our junglers are congregating down there once again. Could look for a play there soon, but of course the camera loves to show us top side with all of their trading. I will say, you know, 003 on the Malphite, you're stacking your armor, does feel pretty good at this point in the game if you are Ryan. So definitely have to keep a tab on how much armor this Malphite is stacking throughout the game. But on to Indigo here, actually, as the Arcane Storm will get the Azir dangerously low here for Triton, will go down. Nice move there from Indigo, but the Subjugate and the Chomp will take down Indigo in response. And honestly, nice work of a 2v1 play there from Indigo.
Again, kind of like a situation where Triton should have not gone for the shuffle. Like, he places himself in the danger zone. Bruiser does miss his combo there. Man, how goofy is it that we live in a world where we have Malphite and Abessa in the same? Like, it is just such a like difference of times, you know, clashing. And in this case, you know, something like the actually there's quite a lot of old champions in this game. Like, honestly, every champion in this game is pretty old save for Rakan, which is pretty crazy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Wow. Riot just was built different back then, I guess. But Bruiser kind of struggling now into the Malphite after going down 2 kills, which expected. But does feel quite bad here for Pentaflexes. Does feel bad in general for Pentaflexes. I feel like they have given up so much in the way of potential plays here by just minor mistakes, over-aggression here and there, that has put them in this position. And, you know, they had this great success. Whoa, Indigo being looked at, no flash.
Indigo, no flash. Now with the pillar, does make it very hard. Flash forward, actually, under the tower.
Almost.
As does get the kill, but goes down. And here's the Grand Starfall trying to take down Triton in the process. However, Toy is here to save their mid laner, as Dagu is still wanting to commit for now for some reason, but here is Bruiser, shows up in the mid lane with the World Ender, and will be able to take down Dagu there for a free kill. And Pentaflex will definitely take that.
Yeah, they will certainly take that. After I was saying, yeah, it was pretty brutal so far. Triton with a good bait there of keeping Dagu interested. So, and it's actually Bruiser not losing a whole lot. Actually, it took this Malphite a little bit longer to get the wave under tower than he might have liked, to be honest, because the Aatrox could have missed a huge wave. Unfortunately, he shoves it out a little bit too slow. Not necessarily fault of his own, though. Definitely was trying, just Malphite woes. Will be the Infernal Drake, though, here. Spawned in. Will be second Drake for Pentaflex, or the first Drake for TE Solace. Now, TE Solace, well, Bruiser will miss his combo again there. But I do think he saw as one of the good things, right, that kind of helped them last game is they did not let, Pentaflex Drake stack at all, right? Like that was completely done and dusted. So that was also an instrumental fact in game number 1. I mean, honestly, I think game number 1, even if they had gotten Soul, they still lose, to be fair. But you definitely don't want your opponents to be getting all of the Drakes. You want to try and delay them at the very least to give yourself a bit more breathing room and some time to not necessarily have to fight the Drake at like the worst possible time for your team.
I mean, every dragon you get is an extra 5 minutes you get to just play the game. As Hook lands onto Oral, but is able to just walk away there. There is some slight tension around the bot side river here, around that dragon. But no team is confident enough to pull the trigger now. This gold lead is very narrow, but is towards the side of TE Solace currently. But it is Pentaflex with the priority, and they're moving over towards this Drake pit. They could look to start it, and we could get a potential team fight here shortly.
Yeah, looking like it's brewing right now. Also in the top lane, Hook coming through.
Yep, lands. They actually get a lot of CC onto Oral here as the dragon is finished, but there they are right on to Triton. Actually gets over the wall. Oral is now getting low. The curtains have called, and there's no threat onto this Jhin, so it is kind of spelling disaster here for TE Solace. Maybe I spoke too soon. Here's Indigo trying to take one back. Does move, actually gets the Azir on the other side. Oral re-engages, trying to help out the team, but will go down. And man, this team fight is insanely close. The healing will keep Mui alive for now, as both top laners are showing up just a little bit late.
Yeah, nice pillar as well to slow down the Malphite. Man, Razor's Edge team fight there. Off of some, I'd call it some really bad target prioritization for Pentaflex. They should have easily taken that fight. But wow, insane that Indigo even picks up a kill. Triton with some good movement that he's had all series. Still manages to go down though. And it's, well, it's on the back of Indigo again here for TE Solace.
Yeah, I mean, Indigo definitely the shining light so far in this game in my mind. Triton has been notably kind of absent on the Azir. They could look here in the mid lane. Grand Starfall comes through, but the Hook actually keeps Indigo under the tower for now, but Oral is tanking up, does get low, but don't think you want to commit to this dive anymore. This tier 1 tower did spell some disaster last game, but actually shut down onto Mui, gets CC'd just at the edge of the tower's range there. And that's a nice one back for Solace.
Well, the same mistake that has happened basically this entire series for both teams happened again. Oh, Indigo does need to be mindful.
Ooh. Curtains calling, but as we see on the bot side here, we have some trading. Bruiser still doing okay in these trades, but now with, you know, one armor item, a bramble vest, and some armor boots, makes very little damage happen on the Malphite, but actually does take down the Rakan here. They are able to claim the Rift Herald, but Solace now has their jungler stuck in the pit as well. And that's a double kill over to VZ, who didn't have an amazing game last game, but is now 4-0 on the Jhin.
Yeah, I mean, doing pretty well this game. Won't lie, but again, as I was going to say, this, like, the mistake has been plaguing both teams in the series is they'll get out, and then they'll just walk back forward and die, which we saw in the mid lane there from Mui. Surely you see 5 people on your screen, right? And you're in a 3v5, and you were just barely able to, you know, kind of save your AD carry from from dying. There's no reason to put yourself into a position like that to die, but happens anyways. But again, BZ on the Gen 4-0. Also, despite Mui's mistake, he's 4-2-2, right? He's been much more active, I think. Something, well, you know, I kind of talked about like a lack of seeing bot lane presence, but in general, I feel like it's been a lack of jungler presence in these series in general, especially in the early game. So like the early to mid game where they kind of just like sitting back, letting their team play the game for them, but in reality, that's usually not how jungle is played, right? Then that could actually be a massive reason as to why teams are not doing so well, or why both these teams are not doing so well in AML at the moment, but easily problems you can solve going into the future as Ryan.
Yeah, the subjugate is pretty threatening here, but opts not to use it as Ryan will just shake off all the damage there and walk away. You know, with that unstoppable force, it's hard to invest much resources onto the Malphite. Can just get out at a whim. But one thing, because they've been talking about it a lot whenever Jhin is picked, but never mind, as we actually have a little bit of a fight here. All the CC invested onto Oral for now, but manages to stay alive as Bruiser acting as the front line. The hook barely doesn't connect there onto water. And we do have some control here from Pentaflex. Yeah, we'll see.
Behind.
The tower does go down. We have the flank here. Here's the unstoppable force onto 2. World Ender comes out, but there is the wombo combo they needed. Shut down onto VZ, and Pentaflex pushed just a little too far up.
I mean, again, just there's no reason to be there. Just overextending. Also, it's now twice that they've tried to all in. Oh well, Ryan is not caring about this Azir. Although,
but now it's no ultimate, has to flash away. Good look there from Mui, knowing that they can't get the dragon, and that is the first dragon over to Solace in this game number 3.
Anyways, a big thing is, realistically, right, they're trying to play for soul point here, but they just go too far, and they've tried to pick off this Rakan, who has a celestial opposition, which is giving you reduced champion damage, right, for 2 seconds. So while we're in this pause here, will be a DC coming through from Dagu, but every time they're all inning with Nautilus, they haven't broken the shield yet, so they actually just can't convert the Rakan kill at all because of, you know, the strength of the celestial opposition passive, right? So I think they need to just poke it off, right? You have Jen, let him get an auto attack in, or you hit one hook, right? So let it fall off and then try to all in. Because we've seen it twice where he's had the celestial opposition, they full Nautilus combo him and then he doesn't die, and then they don't have their Nautilus combo for anything important. So the Rakan can just do Rakan things in the fight a little bit later. Even if he dies, right, he's still doing his job, right? He's able to get all that. Yeah. But we are back in the game after the DC. But yeah, I think it's just a bit of a massive mistake to not play around the celestial opposition, just due in part of how strong the damage reduction actually is.
It is very strong, and I mean, furthermore on that point, whenever we've seen all the stuff invested from Toy to try and get that pick, it's been when VZ is the only one who can hit. And if Azir's not hitting, if Bruiser isn't there, if Mui isn't there, you don't really have enough damage to burst Aura like that, especially with that damage reduction active. But we see eyes turning towards the Baron Pit once again. I don't think anyone is in a position to try and start or anything crazy like that, but there is just about a 2,000 gold lead over towards the side of Solace right now after that mid lane play.
Also, mind you, off of that last team fight, if you paid attention, the Arcane Storm getting resets already. So the Victor is fully stacked up here in this game. While, yes, the Azir is going to scale okay, this is a pretty low damage build coming out with the Rylai's, plus now the Zhonya's being built third from Triton. That the Victor able to do so much more damage right now in these fights. Especially elongated fights, if he can get kills to keep his Chaos Storm. Alright, that's the old name. Gotta remember, Arcane happened. Arcane Storm going in these fights to where it's doing, great AoE damage, also growing in size, on top of, gaining extra time while it's out based off your, takedowns. So, and also silently scaling up here has been water on this Corki. So keep our eye out on that. This is a 3-item Corki now, of course. As well.
Oh, watch the teleport. Indigo might just be caught out here. People on all sides. Flashes towards the team is definitely where you want to be. Some CC onto Moody as the fight starts. Bruiser is on the backline though, so that could be a good look, but actually is getting burst down now as attention focuses on the Aatrox. Ryan uses the Unstoppable Force over to the wall to claim the kill on Bruiser, and now the rest of the fight should just be history, but actually a nice Emperor's Divide will keep the team fight close for now. But it definitely looks like the health bars are in the favor of Solace here, as they will claim the ace, but with only 2 people left remaining. Triple kill to Triton.
I don't know why Triton didn't try to go for a shuffle onto Indigo so he doesn't get back to his team. Like, you have a teleport on top of him. He's able to walk away for completely free. And that's the whole reason this team fight happens. Bruiser actually taking a lot of the CC for his team there. Yes, he does go down pretty early, but he tanked a Malphite ultimate. He tanked all of the Rakan engage. Right, so definitely did not do his job there, but again, it just feels like Pentaflex making a couple mistakes here, costing them a bit of a gold lead now. 3k, well, give or take, is here as we're coming through on a Dagu.
Yeah, they do get the hook there, but no follow-up currently, as Oral is actually getting chunked before this fight gets going. Ryan now definitely a brick wall on the front line. Dragon spawning up here in 15 seconds would be soul point for Pentaflex if they're able to claim it, as the team fight is once again brewing.
Well, we'll say the person hitting the Malphite should not be minion.
Unstoppable Force onto VZ is good. Grand Starfall to follow up, and this is so much threat onto the backline here. We have to look at Triton though, still hitting for now. Ryan sets the sight towards that DPS carry. Will not go down on the Malphite, actually managing to stay alive for now. Emperor's Divide will split the fight, but great knock up there from Oral to take down the enemy carry, and this is all Solace in these team fights. It's really looking good for this team in game number 3.
Yeah, TE Solace doing really well here, as maybe this lower damage build from Triton is actually costing quite a bit here in terms of, ability for Pentaflex to fight. The gen gets completely blown up there, but he wouldn't have done damage to the Malphite anyways. Don't look Malphite items at the point. Don't look Malphite items. So the gen's not going to do damage at all, unfortunately, to this Malphite. Baron will be taken here for them. Drake as well. So they stall Soul once more, which is kind of the win condition at this point for Pentaflex. The one thing they were kind of banking on after kind of losing control over this game off of multiple mistakes, and Indigo having a great performance once more on the Victor, and again once more in the series as a mid laner.
Yeah. I mean, this definitely took what was a close game. Even after Solace started pulling ahead, the game was pretty contestable. Now about a 7,000 gold lead. 2 Hextech Dragons and the Baron definitely puts Solace at a pretty hefty advantage here. Opting to just push in 2 lanes. They're going for the 1-4 split here. Actually with Dagu on the side, probably thinking of that Grand Starfall, which was used there, it looks like, to move away from Bruiser. I'm not quite sure what's happening there, but either way, take down the tier 2 turret in the mid lane is definitely a good look for this push, setting their sights on the bot side.
So if you ever want a litmus test of how a game is going for a team that's behind, oh, we're fine. That's a Malphite. Simply just look at the top laner's level comparatively to people who don't have the top lane quest. So Bruiser's level 15, Corki is level 15. So, needless to say, Pentaflex are not having a good game so far. And it's going to come down to basically a battle of the mid laners as, yes, VZ got fed early on the gen, but he's never getting through the Malphite in a million years. Also, this is a G8 up Pantheon who's working towards his 4th item in this game. So the gen really not going to be able to get through that either. So it is going to come down to this Azir, and can this Azir actually, win these fights? And it has been close a couple times, right? It's been pretty close. He's been able to do pretty good damage. The issue is he hasn't been able to actually fully convert in the most critical moments that is allowed for TE Solace to get a lead. And as the game starts to slip more and more in favor of TE Solace, how long is this Azir going to have left in this game to scale?
Yeah, the answer should be not too long if Solace keep pressuring as they are. They have a decent amount of time before the objectives, so looking towards this top tier 1, it is the only tier 1 turret still standing. It's definitely setting their sights over here. Bruiser is getting some pressure on the bot side for the team. It's just about whether or not Bruiser has to teleport here if Solace decide to force.
We'll see. Looking like resets coming through. Overall, the Baron usage was pretty poor. So, I don't really get a whole lot out of the Baron. Which, I guess, if, you are looking at Bruiser might get caught out here.
Yeah, Bruiser should be able to just dash over the wall, I imagine. But Dagu getting some damage down. Still about a minute and a half before our next objective, so definitely slower pace. But as I say that, water is pushed up a little far, but just so much burst damage onto the Trundle. Not even a chance there. No follow-up there for Mui, as they just get a pick on the enemy jungler for free and hopefully can push down and actually use their advantage to break open the base.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure how they think they're catching out. Oh wow, this is gonna do a whole lot of damage.
Toy just trying to get some damage onto the behemoth of a mountain that's standing on the rift. But, as much as we've been criticizing Pentaflex, they do a pretty good wave clear right now, as we're seeing. It is a little bit hard to siege into this team currently. But, still 3 more seconds. Mui will be back on the map. No subjugate currently, so if they start a fight, it could be a little bit rough. CC onto Oral for now. Does use the battle dance to get away. One more shot, and Ryan just tanks it up.
I feel
Looks
like
that's the end of the fight.
Just autoed him. He could have just autoed off of that, but regardless, it's gonna be Oral slipping away once more as will be canceled out of the base. I honestly, if Trident isn't at a fight, I think Ryan might be able to kill every single person by himself in a 1v4.
As here's the front line, not taking very much damage at all. Oral is dangerously low, but actually manages to get off the engage without dying. Here is a team fight. The Arcane Storm did get one reset, is going. This is insane chaos here, but everyone from Pentaflex will die, as it looked pretty decent. They had the power of the extended fight there, but it will just spell disaster for Pentaflex, and these death timers should spell the end of the series.
Yeah, I mean, what are you to do here from Pentaflex? You're down so much gold at this point. And again, this game fell to a battle of the mid laners, and Indigo plays just a bit better in this one. 10, 2, and 14. as they will play this Nexus, although Toy, well, had a little bit something to say, but not a whole lot, as there goes the Nexus, and it's, again, great play overall from TE Solace, and bit of a shakier early game this game, but definitely still dominant for sure. Only foothold really was from VZ, and he was going to fall off anyways thanks to the Mel fight, so great draft, I think, from TE Solace in general.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of doubted them after they got pretty blasted in game number 1.
That's true.
But they came back with a mini reverse sweep. They won the next 2 in a row. They won the best of 3, so congrats. These two teams were tied in game score, but now we saw who gets to move up in the standings. Congratulations to TE Solace.
Yeah, I mean, congrats. And they played pretty well. I mean, game 1, kind of disaster, but they kept it together, you know? So that's kind of the most important thing is, you know, not losing your mental after getting decimated and being able to bounce back. And Indigo, definitely MVP of the series. Like I said, this was a very mid-focused series. Mid lane win, you win the game, and that stayed true all 3 games.
Yes, it did. As we see these damage charts, and Indigo definitely the standout there. 39,000 damage on the Victor. You know, I would have liked to see a little more from Triton. You know, the Azir is kind of a staple pick. If you pick it, you're expected to deal a lot of damage. You're expected to maybe even make some of those shuffle plays, but unable to do that. Did do the most damage on his team, but that was about where that ended. So yeah, well played from Solace, and definitely MVP goes to Indigo for me.
Yeah, well, of course, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. Bit of a longer one today, you know. Well, what's new? I say a bit of a longer one today when in fact we're just destined to cast 3-game series, okay? And I fear for what our best of 5s are going to look like if that trend continues for us in the best of 5s. But still, great series overall. I think TE Solace showcased some great mental fortitude after game 1, and also played pretty well in general, you know, like they didn't completely fall apart. I think Water, you know, after having a really rough Forest game, able to kind of hold it together. Yunara kind of was okay, was meh, but the Gorky game was pretty good this game. So can't complain. And Ryan, I think after getting smashed, just said, put me on a tank and I scale. And that's exactly what he did. Cassante game was great. The Malphite game was great.
Yeah. I think there's not too much left to say here. Congrats to both teams. They played well. They gave us some exciting games. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Macros for production. Thank you, Aussie, for casting with me tonight. And we'll see you guys next week for week 6 of AML.
Bro, just use Zen Market.